exactly. uh, what in the morning when you get up, like not the reason why you get up, but what makes your heart like sing out loud, just be out of your chest for that day coming up? Like, what is it that gets it going?
Well, I have a mission in my life, and what makes me feel excited to get up is I feel like this is my moment. I feel like it is my chance to rise. We're in a very difficult, challenging period, and yet I have written this book on well-being and success and leadership, and it's one of the things we need most right now. And I have a vision of helping more, 1 million people to realize that you can do well and be well, that you can actually have well-being within you, body, mind, and spirit, and have extraordinary success. Our culture teaches us that those two things are exclusive of each other.
Mm.
You have success first, and then well-being will come later when you have the time and money to handle it. But I believe that you can have both. And so I'm excited because I'm on this mission to inspire 1 million people.
That's an amazing mission. And like, what what is it that you were just saying? What is it that brought you to this journey? Like, I think one of the coolest things, and
Mhm.
I read your book and I read your story, and I loved all of it. And I
Thank you
told
for
you that
doing
before,
that.
before we came
That's how we
on.
met. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, what is it that I think it's important for my listeners to hear, like some of the major trials and tribulations or major turning points in your life that brought you to, where you are now with this mission of wanting to help 1 million people. What happened in the past that brought you to where you are today?
Yes. So I have a background, and I still am currently working at a major Fortune 500 firm. I'm a senior VP. It's my 22nd year. But in the beginning, I was like many people at the start of their career, putting in long hours, really giving it my all to the exclusive. I mean, that's basically all I did. I was quite the workaholic.
Yeah.
And I was achieving success upon success. But in the 7th year of my career rise, although I kept getting additional titles, I kept winning amazing awards. I was so full of myself. I was traveling all over the United States, talking to my peers about my success. I started to break down behind the scenes. The first disease I was diagnosed with was rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease where your body attacks itself, in this case, your joints. And I had started to have excruciating pain in my hands, my feet, my elbows, I mean, you name it, my joints. The second disease, like a cascading bad day, the second disease I was diagnosed with was chronic kidney disease. It's also an autoimmune disease. In this case, your body's attacking your kidneys. The third disease I was diagnosed with 2 or 3 years later was kidney cancer. So I had 3 successive, super serious chronic diseases. All 3 were getting worse and worse, as far as doom. I remember I was in a doctor's office once and I said, well, at least I'm not dying, like thinking, I have stage 1 cancer, I should be able to pull through this. And he goes, well, you're just dying slowly.
Mm. And you're
And
still
in that,
meanwhile on the road doing talks,
yes. Well, I didn't
working.
even want to tell
Yeah.
anybody, Justin. I mean, seriously, I didn't want to tell my bosses at work because I didn't want to appear weak. I mean, what are the chances? Here I am, so brilliant business wise. And then behind the scenes, I'm so pathetic when it comes to dealing with my health. I couldn't get a handle on it. And in my book, I mentioned we have a saying in our business, you can't catch a falling knife. And that's how I felt about this situation. I just couldn't, everything just kept getting worse and worse. I was clearly headed in the wrong direction. My body was breaking down behind the scenes, and I really had to do a complete 180-degree turn. The good news, jump forward, is I was able to heal myself of all those illnesses. I no longer take any medication for any of them. I don't have cancer. I don't have any autoimmune issues. I don't have any inflammation in my body at this moment. And I'm just extremely grateful. But it was a long journey. And I did everything my traditional doctor said, just to point out. It wasn't like I went off on my own on, some unusual diet. But, I followed everything my doctor said, but I also did a ton of research with alternative medicine. I traveled all over the world for indigenous healers. I read every book, every report, every white paper. everything I could get my hands on what does total well-being look like and how could I turn this ship around. And I did that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an incredible story.
While
Yeah.
working.
Well,
Because keep in mind, most people like me, I'm a single mom.
yeah.
I have two beautiful daughters, one of whom has an intellectual disability, so that, I need to be here for both of them. And I just thought, I can't go down. There must be something I'm meant to learn. I was really mindful with this.
Yeah.
Like I really thought about it, like I wouldn't have this situation, which clearly is a perfect storm of horribleness. I wouldn't have a disaster on my hands like this unless I was meant to learn something. And I have a gut feeling when I got into those mindful moments that it wouldn't go away until I learned what I was meant to learn.
Yeah. And Megan, you are an extreme high achiever in business, right? I mean,
I still am.
You still are.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
And you brought that same high achievement mentality into overachieving,
like
whatever
a
you want to call
project.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, into your project of becoming healthier and all that. Not everybody has that same like intuition or inner spirit inside of them that is so go get.
Right.
So what are a few takeaways that you learned through the process that were like the most important, pieces that someone listening can go, you know what, when I get off this call, I'm going to do this one or these two things that Megan mentioned right away?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I took this project on, as you mentioned, like the achievement oriented, and it was easy for the body section. That worked great in the body section of my wheel. I have what is called a well-being wheel in my book. Any of your listeners can go to meganmcneely.com, MEGANMCNEALY.com. They can look at this wheel I'm talking about. It's for free. You can just take a photo with your cell phone and look at it. But it has spokes, and the body spokes are perfect for an achiever. Because, I was like, I'm eating a better diet. I'm getting enough sleep. It was all very project oriented. And I found that quite easy. Most people would find it really difficult to change your diet to more vegetables if you're eating scones like I was.
Starbucks scones, because those are good.
Oh, I used to eat a maple nut scone. You remember back in the day with the frosted scones they used to have? They were gigantic. I used to eat one every day. And I love Starbucks. Actually, Kevin Johnson, the CEO of Starbucks, who's an amazing man, endorsed my cover for me of my book. Yeah, he's incredible leader.
And to stop you, so guys, listen to her book, by the way. Like, I actually don't talk a ton about books on the podcast, but hers is so broken down so like well. You can ask my spouse. She saw me reading it, and I finished it in like 2 or 3 nights because I usually just read like before bed. And it's broken down very like plain. Like, here's this spoke, here's what you can do, and here's a story about it. Here's this spoke,
it's all stories.
Here's what you can do, and and you could just grab like a piece of it and change that about your life, right? Grab a piece it's great. I love it. So
it's unusual. I wrote this book because I write for leaders and people in the workforce. That's my people. If you work, you're my person. And what I decided, and I know, is most books you read from cover to start to finish. And I wanted to create a book where you could dive in anywhere you wanted. Mm-hmm. There's 18 different spokes, and you could just pick one, and you could like look on the wheel, on my website, or you could look in the book, but you could dive in. And to answer your question, such a great question.
Yeah.
Being an achiever worked really great for me on the first couple spokes because I could just check off that I ate better that day. I could actually physically monitor that I started to go to bed at 9:00 at night. That was pretty easy for me to just feel like an achiever. What was very difficult, and I just wasn't healed, after the initial body spokes. So I started to move into the mind spokes, which is basically, kind of more about what this podcast focuses on. And that I realized my little achievement attitude didn't work so well. So how do I monitor that I'm maintaining a positive attitude. How do I monitor? These are all spokes I'm speaking of. How do I monitor that I'm honing my focus? How do I monitor that I'm meditating enough? How do
Yeah.
I monitor that my values are aligned with my actions? I found during that section of my healing journey that actually doing nothing, which I wasn't used to, was exponentially helpful, because in those quiet moments, even if I wasn't physically meditating, maybe I was just out on my patio looking at my birds. I heard that Oprah does that. And so I thought, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. I love hummingbirds. It's my spirit animal.
What Oprah
So
does, we must all do anyway.
I
So.
know, right? I mean, I was like, I like that because I'm such a go, go, go person. I'm sure your
Uh-huh.
people watching this are like, wow, she's a lot. That's just me. I'm very like vibrant and I own it. I totally own it. I get it. You know, I'm not a couch potato by any means, but I started to just just take some deep breaths and be still. And that's where some of the intuition I got related to my well-being journey came to me. I realized I needed to stop that wheel, you know, that hamster wheel of doing, doing, doing. I was actually, in those moments, I noticed that I was so busy, but maybe not with important things. Have you ever felt like, you know, the things that you accomplished, they call the doc, you know, like on my list, check on that, your dry cleaning, you know, make a doctor's appointment for the kids, cancel the NSA conference, or whatever it is. I was like, those have no meaning, deep meaning. You know, what have
I,
I done today that actually helped my mind, helped ease my spirit,
hmm.
provided guidance? I suddenly realized I didn't have many of those. And so I started to really improve that. So for people, realize there's many different aspects, to answer your question, there's many different aspects of well-being.
Right.
There's body aspects, there's mind aspects, and there's aspects that lift your spirit. And in any given day, we might need something different. Today it's Monday. We're recording this. I'm feeling kind of go, go, go. But yesterday I was really in silence. I sat up on my patio looking at the sun and just kind of looked at the birds. The birds are very loud now, which I've noticed is different. I wouldn't have noticed that when I was sick because I wouldn't have paid any attention.
Yeah.
I've noticed the birds are much louder now that we're all inside.
That's beautiful.
Unusual, just even in my backyard.
Yeah, during this weird time right now.
Have you noticed anything different when you get quiet?
Stillness. No, I've
Yeah.
noticed a lot more stillness in nature, I guess you could say, because I take walks, but we've taken 2 a day every day now to get out, and I really like that. And I noticed just the stillness of outside compared to being at the computer, working, Skyping, talking, scheduling, and everything. I recently, I was reading a book, and it dove really deep into the fact that, like, you were talking about, like, always doing stuff, right? Doing and checking things off. That wouldn't be a thing without the opposite of it, which is doing nothing. Right? It wouldn't actually, like, doing something wouldn't exist unless there was something called doing nothing. Right. So they were talking about how important.
I gotta wrap my mind around that. That's interesting, Justin.
Yeah. And like, so if doing something is so important, it's just as important to do nothing. It's that whole opposite.
It's like a seesaw.
Yeah. It's just as important to do that, to sit, like you said, listen to the birds, to sit, meditate, yoga, or whatever. Even yoga is doing something, but just doing nothing, like you said, is just as important as always going. And without the two, neither of them would exist. So I love that you said that.
Oh, I like that. One of the executives in the book, Yannick Silver, who's an incredible entrepreneur, he says in the book that the greater your aspirations are, the greater your vision for what you need to do in the world, the greater your requirement will be for stillness. And same thing. I mean, I love that idea that, if we go, we need an equal and opposite approach. It's for rejuvenation. But what I learned in that kind of aspect of my healing when I was in the mind spokes as well, I mean, I do all of them all the time, but I never really had mind action-oriented things to do, like that I was active. I meditate too. I like lay in bed and
That's what I was
meditate.
going to ask you. Like, what is your
I
spiritual, like,
meditate.
meditate? Okay,
I
cool.
meditate
I
in
like
bed.
that.
Yeah. Well, back when I was so sick, I couldn't sit up straight for
Ah,
very long because I was in such chronic pain. And I realized as I look back, I used to go, one of the greatest meditation teachers in the world is Jack Kornfield, who um, founded Spirit Rock Meditation Center here in Woodacre, California. And he's one of the people that influenced me the most. He brought Buddhism to the West. Unbelievable person. And I used to go to his day-long workshops and just lay in the back like I was in a hospital back there, but everybody else was sitting. And
mm,
at some point I realized, I was so self-aware. I was becoming so self-aware. I was like, isn't that amazing? I can't even sit still. Like I literally can't sit. I have to lay down. I mean, that's how how sick I
wow.
was at that point. Now I could sit and do work. Funny, huh? I could sit and do work.
Huh.
I just couldn't sit still in a chair. Like I felt like, what is the point of this? But if I was laying down, I was like, I just felt like my body could just take a deep sigh of relief. Like, oh, she's finally taking care of us.
Yeah. And did you like have points where you just in the beginning, were you just ignoring it? Like, it's fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And then one day you're like,
Yeah,
holy crap, I got to sit with this. I got to figure out, is that kind of how it was?
right. Yeah, because when I received the diagnoses, it was like a giant wake up call, and especially like the sequential diagnosis that everything was getting worse and worse. It was
Ah,
clearly headed in the wrong direction. So I just knew I needed a reboot, and I just decided to do the exact opposite of everything I was doing, every action I was taking, every thought I was thinking, every movement I made, every friend that I had. And I just thought, I need to do the exact opposite. I need to look at everything. I use the phrase literally clean the house,
yeah.
and I need to clean the garage. I mean, I was like, theoretically, figuratively, like sweeping the garage, like looking under every box, like, what am I doing that's causing this dramatic disaster? Let's be honest. I mean, I've spoken to dozens and dozens of crowds and thousands of people,
Yeah.
and I have never in a crowd had anyone raise their hand and admit that they were sicker than I was. Like I was literally the
Wow.
sickest person I had ever met.
Crazy.
And that was so frightening and scary. And especially with, little kids, I thought, I can't go down. I can't go down like this. I'm not meant for this. I'm not meant to suffer. I'm not meant to be sick. I mean, look at me. Like, I mean, I'm meant to be a vibrant light. I know that about myself. I knew that back then. Even so, it's funny, this light's behind me and these feather things these feather lights. I'm so California. These feather things look like I got wings on my shoulders. I wasn't meant for that. But
Yeah.
what I had to do is get real with myself and turn that ship around.
Yeah, and I could, all that totally makes sense of why you want to showcase this to others, let other people know, the importance of it and help a million people. That
Yeah.
makes absolute complete sense to me. Um, One thing that I've learned about you, just talking to you, you've used the word vibrant probably 4 or 5, 6 times.
Yes.
Reading your book and listening to a couple podcasts, that's your word, right? I think I wrote it
Yes,
down
it is
here.
my word.
It's
Mhm.
like you said, anchor words you use to identify your essence, right? So your
Yes.
vibrancy. I want the people listening to this, because I tried
Mhm.
explaining this to my spouse after I read your book,
Mhm.
and I couldn't explain it correctly.
Oh, all right.
I'm not very good with words. To be like, when I learn something new, I have to like write it down, research,
Mhm.
rewrite it, and then I can articulate it to somebody.
Sure.
So if you could explain that a little more, that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah, yeah. This is so much fun. I'm glad you brought this up, Justin. This is great. We'll find out what your word is. Okay. So, um, I believe, and this is related to self-expression. I believe that discovering your true essence and bringing it forth. Everybody who's listening to this call has a specific essence. What I mean, I'm a Reiki master too. So I believe we all have a different vibration. Like Justin, you have a different vibration than me. And we all are amazing. Like everyone who's listening to this cares. They're a unique human being, right? And I believe that when we're trying to bring forth our gifts into the world, I believe it's useful to be self-aware. And I just wasn't that self-aware. I was kind of moving through the world like I didn't really take stock of who I was, more just like, how can I, achieve these types of hurdles? I'm not saying I was cold-hearted. No, I've always been friendly and cheerful, and I've always had lots of friends. But I never really knew what my gift was. Like if you had asked me back then when I was sick, what gift do you bring, to the world? I'd be like, I mean, people like me. I'm nice. I mean, I don't know what I would have been speechless. I don't know what I would have said,
Yeah.
but I started to really think in my journey, like, what is it that makes me different? And for people who are listening to this right now, it's a great time. We have a quiet moment here in our society, in our world. The people who are listening to us may be going through, job loss, deep grief, about the state of affairs in our world. And it's a wonderful time to sink in and be like, okay, who am I in this situation? And I think that having a anchor word can be very, very useful. And I understand it sounds crazy to think that there's one word that could kind of encompass all that you are. I get that. It's a difficult thing to think about, because we are so many things. But what I like to challenge people to do is, if we're talking about self-expression, who you really are, is there any word that comes to mind? And the exercise is to, just write down some things. If you don't know, you could always ask someone else, can you use some words to describe me?
That could be
Mindful.
dangerous territory for some people.
Right. No, it has to be positive now. No, nobody's allowed to write depressed. No, you can't write anything that's negative. Okay. If you don't have words that come readily to mind about yourself, if you're feeling a little down, which I can totally appreciate, write down words that you aspire to be. So like my friend Vishen, who's the CEO of Mindvalley, his word is superhero. Okay. Now we all know Vishen is an incredible soul, but when he thought of that word, he was just starting Mindvalley, and he hadn't had the millions of followers and millions of students under his belt at that moment. He just wanted to be a superhero. Back when I was thinking about this and I was trying to come up with a word, I actually was in a self-expression workshop. What are the chances, right? And then the leader said to me at the end of it, "Well, clearly your word is vibrant. I mean, look at you." I just was speechless. I thought, that's so interesting. I always have been vibrant. Even when I was in college, even when I was younger, I just was kind of out there. Like, it's hard not to, if I walk into a crowd, people are like, "Oh, there she is." Like, it's hard not to be me. And so I started to play around with that and kind of own that word vibrant. Now it's funny, last week, somebody who heard a podcast, I was speaking about this, wrote and said, "I just don't know what my word is. I heard you talk about this." I
Yeah.
said, "Give me the 5 words. And anybody who can't figure this out, just write me, Megan@meganmcneely.com. That's my private email. Just write me. I'll help you figure it out." So really, he wrote all these words, born, like leader. And the first word he wrote was inspiring. Okay. And then he wrote leader, and he wrote hard worker, warm and friendly. He wrote all that. And I go, "You know what? I think your anchor word is inspiring." Because keep in mind, if you're warm and friendly, then you're inspiring someone with your kindness and your warmth. As a leader, you're a born leader. You're inspiring people at work with your leadership. And he was like, "You're right. That's it. Inspiring is my word." And I just think in times like this, when we lose ourselves a touch, like when we have a challenge coming, and believe me, I've had a million challenges. I've had a painful divorce. I had a flood last summer that ruined my whole house. I had to live in a hotel for 7 months. We've got the coronavirus. But through it all, I was vibrant. I kept saying to myself, "But you're vibrant, Megan."
Yeah.
And like, if you think about this, those kind of words in crisis moments, or those kind of words just in an ordinary moment, that's a gift that you can serve, that you can bring in a mindful way to your community, to your family, to your colleagues at work. and it kind of goes with you. It's like it's like a descriptive word for my essence. Some people's words might be calm. I have a list of them in my book.
Yeah.
Calm, curious, kind, thoughtful, imaginative, creative. Um, what else can you think of? I mean, they have to be positive,
Yes.
but it's kind of a word that sort of leads you around, that that's you. And I would just encourage people. I think it's a very grounding thing. What is your word, do you think?
Well, what it reminds me of is, the whole daily affirmations things where I am love, I am joy, I am kind,
Yeah, you
repeat.
could do that.
It reminds me of that, but at the same time, what it does is it takes like
But
a
it's
distinct
customized.
word and it carries with you instead of just in those 5 minutes that you're doing it, right? So it stays with you, it carries with you. And I love that in times where you're feeling down or challenged or whatever, during this coronavirus, you're like, okay, let's go back to my word. And it kind of just brings, I love that. That's why I wanted you to talk about it. And as I was reading it, I didn't really figure out exactly. And as you're talking, I'm like, I know playful and positivity are two huge words for me and describing me. So I don't know where that would fall in, but maybe those two combined would be mine.
I would say, the word, as you said it, the word positive seems more of the umbrella. We're looking for the umbrella word, that's kind of like the overarching thing that's kind of always over you. So as a positive person, Justin, you could be, that could be more broad in a way. So let's say you're bringing your positivity to your kids after this conversation, and it could manifest in a playful way. Like, you're a positive person today, so you're going to play with them. You're going to go, do a puzzle, or you're going to hang out and do something like that. Yeah. But that positivity could be during this podcast. Like, you may not be as playful on this podcast because we're really focused and we're really mindful right now and really thoughtful. But the positivity is always there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And playful is an aspect I see underneath positivity, because it is nothing but positive, the word playful. It could be something, how you interact with your partner as well. Having
it's a very playful, positive.
It could be, like
seeing the light. That's kind of the
exactly. Seeing the bright side of it.
Yeah.
And it could definitely manifest in a playful way. And positivity could also manifest in a real serious way. Like, you could say, hey, honey, look, we got this. We've got, our sanitizer. We have food in the freezer. We have a place to stay. And, that's positive as well,
Yeah. That's interesting you say that. Because sometimes
optimistic could be
optimistic
another word too.
Optimism. Yeah. Optimistic. Optimistic, positive. Yeah. That's that.
But everybody has. It just depends on what words you've heard in your past. In your past, and I think that.
I mean, people are
it's a grounding word. It kind of helps us get grounded. For instance, my one of my assistants, I have two, that he's super creative. And so in this moment, it's very difficult for someone who's, a Broadway star to be creative. Cause like, what do you do now if all the shows are canceled for the near future? But if as he's saying to himself, this is almost like a mantra, I am creative, but wait, I am creative. What would a creative person do in this moment? Just like you're saying, what would a positive person do in this moment? I'm saying over here, what would a vibrant person do in this moment? It's no joke that like there's a big light, it's so bright in here. Like I'm vibrant, like I'm trying to bring it.
Yeah, no, you don't have to try. Like you have it. Like
no, I know, right? Yeah, it's just like totally who I am. But I think that what you can also do too is take it even further, and you can say with your word, okay, how would a vibrant person's home look? I take it also to my clothing. Like I'm wearing a hot pink tank top right now. I've got a bright lip on, my home is super vibrant too. If I could walk you around, you'd see giant, modern art that's full of color. Our whole home is white. Except
pick up your laptop, carry it around, give me a tour.
You know, right. Like there's just huge, see that big piece of art right there? It's
Yeah,
breakaway.
nice.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So you could also say, what would a positive person's home look like?
Yeah.
You know, maybe there would be affirmations, maybe there would be things that made you feel positive. You might have photos near you that, you know, right behind you on that desk, there's probably books that are positive that, you know, bring forth your positivity. It's almost like you hack your environment.
Yeah.
You hack everything around you to kind of boost that word within you.
That's
And
funny.
that's what Vishen did with his superhero. He made t-shirts that had wings on the front of them, like you're like a superhero. That's how Mind Valley's t-shirts came to be. And I just love that. I think that's pretty awesome.
You know, you hear words like vibrant and superhero, and you're like, positive. You know, like those are such good, big, impactful words. It's like, how can I find one like that? You know, that's kind of what
right. Right. So we'll think about that. Yeah. Like, you know, you have really, really good energy. I mean, you have a lot of light, you know, around you. So yeah, I mean, I think that you just sit with it until something else comes.
Yeah.
You don't have to reject your word. It's okay.
Sure. That's great.
But if anybody wants help with that, you know, people have, you know, that's a very interesting exercise, and it can really I don't know. Vishen said his word transformed him. And for me, just kind of owning that I'm vibrant. I was told as a little kid, this is interesting. I was told as a little kid to what's the word I would use? Don't be so precocious.
Precocious.
Don't stand out so much. Try to be more demure. Don't say anything, you know, unless you have something positive to say. I was diminished quite a bit when I was little, and in many, many ways. And I think that it's almost like my mantra of freedom to be who I want to be and who I was born to be, to own that word, you know. And I get that when I grew up, some of the people that were around me, I was too much for them. It's okay. They're not meant to be my people, you know, necessarily around me and surrounding me on a daily basis. You know, I respect and love people, you know, in my childhood, absolutely. But I think that I have tried to surround myself more with people who appreciate that about me. Just like for you, if your word was positive and you have a lot of negative people around you, you'll see they don't appreciate your positivity, right?
Right.
Doesn't vibe with them. It's a bad vibration for them.
Yeah.
Makes them feel uncomfortable. And so those aren't your people. Hard to say, but you know, true.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up on that. Hold on one second. I got to take my headphones off.
No worries.
It gets hot in here with like everything closed up.
I know, right?
You were just talking about, I want to transition. It's a great transition because you just wrote an article on your site in January about, you know, pausing a friend or two that isn't on your vibration or isn't on, you know, how can you do that without feeling like so guilty and have shame around it? You know, someone, especially that you've been friends with for so long. How do you navigate that?
Right. You know, I wrote this, it was a blog for the people on my, you know, distribution list, my tribe, because I thought it was something important to think through. If there is a friend, and we all have these people in our lives, if there's a friend that's got a different vibration from you and you feel like it's dragging you down, it feels like an anchor on your foot, you notice that, you know, in your conversations, in my case, there was a friend that my book was about to come out. It came out in October of 2019, and I knew it was great. I had put my heart and soul into this book. I mean, even before it was published, I was like, I couldn't have been more excited. I was vibrating at such a high level. My vibrancy was like crazy. I was too much for this friend. The friend started to disparage me. You know, even in our discussions, I could feel the sour energy. Has anybody who's listening ever had a friend who wasn't happy for you in your big moment? Like, it was almost inconceivable to me that this person who had also written a book before ought to know, you know, like, this is Megan's moment. Like, we'll be here for her. You know, my kids are in school and they auditioned for things. It's inconceivable to them that one of their friends wouldn't be happy if they got the part.
Yeah.
right? You know, we're
Yeah.
all just doing our own path, right? But that was the case. This friend was really negative on the calls. You know, I would say, hey, I got this. I remember saying I was speaking with Lisa Nichols, who's one of my heroes, for Bank of America in November. To be on a stage with Lisa Nichols is like, you know, I mean,
I saw
really,
her. Yeah. If anybody's
like,
listening, go to YouTube
Lisa
her and
Nichols
watch a
is
couple. Yeah.
amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's
And
incredible.
I had gotten that assignment and I was just so
Nice. Good
excited.
for you.
But my friend wasn't happy for me. She was like, oh, you know, like, good for you. Like, well, and I have worked for everything. Like, nobody's handed me anything. I'm a hustler. And I brought it up. So I think the step one is to bring it up, you know, to be honest with people. Honesty is one of my primary values, truth. So I said, you know, I'm feeling kind of a sour vibe. You know, am I misreading this? And she said, you know what? All the success that you're having with your book and all the publicity you're getting around it is making me feel bad about mine. And so I'm taking it out on you. I'm so sorry. And I realized that she couldn't actually, you know, in further conversation, she still couldn't bring a positive attitude to me. So I told her, look, I don't want to be a trigger for you. Every time I call, I don't want to make you feel bad about yourself. That's not, I'm vibrant. See, I went back to my word. I'm a vibrant person. If you can't handle my vibrancy, which will increase, I got to be honest with you, the more stages I get on, the more people hear my message, the more excited I get, then we're not a good match as friends. And I paused her. I said, you know, I would love to have you back as a friend someday. I love you. I'm so sorry you're reacting to me in this way, but I don't want to be a negative influence for you. And I can feel the sour energy. It's not good for me. In this moment, I would expect my friends to celebrate me. Hello. I cannot tell you how many people wrote me back after that blog. Like, I have a friend just like that. You know, they're not happy for me in my big moment. And so I think it's okay. And I use the word pause. It's not so permanent. You know, let's pause this for a bit. I don't know if any of your listeners have ever been in a relationship that needed to be paused. Probably right now. They've been in quarantine together. Right? But it's not permanent. It's just like, you know, some things are coming up here that I really feel like, no, but for friends, you know, it's a good time. It's a good thing to say, you know, would it be okay if we pause this for 2 or 3 months? And then instantly it was like, whoosh, all that negative energy left me. It like flew out the window. All of a sudden I had like an extra 3 hours a week that I used to speak to that friend on the phone. They live across the country, so we were always on the phone. Oh my God. Like, without that sourness, it was like my plane was able to take off without that energy. It was a beautiful thing, Justin. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I have not rekindled that friendship. I thought, forget, you know, and that friend, wouldn't you know, that friend, when I published that, they still follow me, you know, my work, they left me the nastiest message on my voicemail. How dare you write about me? I didn't name them. Of course, I would never do such a thing. They recognized themselves in my blog and were like, left me a whole bunch of negative energy on a voicemail. How dare you write about me?
Sounds like that relationship might be on a little bit more than just a pause.
Exactly. Well, you know what? I think that's saying, you know, I think we need to pause this for my own, you know, you could also say, look, I'm going through a lot with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
I'm really sinking into my family. I'm really sinking into trying to conjure as much positive energy as possible in this moment. I think we need to pause because I'm feeling like your negative energy is really weighing on me. Say it, you know, and then you can feel that you were kind in your heart, that you did what was right for you and your family. We put ourselves last so many times. We're like, you know, we just have to be nice to this person. I have done this literally, Justin, with family members.
Yeah.
There are family members, immediate family members, who I do not speak to because they're too negative.
Interesting. You know, it's
like their vibration.
Yeah. You know, when you say this, it makes me think about, instead of when you don't say something, you're actually most likely just hurting yourself. Right.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So when you do say something, you're just hurting them a tiny bit, right? So maybe, you know, because their ego might get hurt or something. But isn't that better than you?
Exactly.
You're taking care of yourself, like you said. That's what I'm taking away. You said. Yes. You're taking care of yourself instead of always, oh, but that person might get hurt. Oh, but this person might. But no, it's, you know, sometimes it's about you. right? And that's what you say. That's
Yes.
beautiful. That's
Well,
so cool the way you said that.
guess what though? This is the thing, Justin. Those people are actually being hurt by your vibe. So my friend who I would call, she probably saw my phone, like I'm calling her, and she probably was like, oh God, there comes Megan with all that great news about her book. She probably she was negatively triggered by me. Let's be honest. Like I brought out the worst in her. That's what I mean to say. I was bringing out the worst in her.
Gotcha.
She knew it, and she didn't have the guts to pause that friendship. So sometimes maybe your listeners need to be that person. They need to step up because, the person on the other line doesn't have the courage to go, you know what, this friendship is not working. Every time I hear from you, I just feel like dumping a bunch of negative energy out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that your listeners, maybe that's true. Maybe they need to step up. I was actually triggering her.
Yeah.
So I wasn't
Interesting.
good for her.
Yeah.
I bet she now has has gathered friends around her who are exactly right for her vibration in this moment. And she's probably happy as a clam. She's probably saying the same thing. Thank God I don't have to talk to Megan anymore. I'm serious. Like I don't
I
feel
don't
like
mean to
I'm God's
laugh at the
gift to everybody.
situation, but you're
I
totally,
know.
but the way you say it makes me kind of like giggle a little bit. But yeah, that's
Right. No, I know. She's probably like, thank God, Megan and her positivity. Oh my God, that video they did about her was like got 40,000 views. Yeah, good for her. I mean, I love it. This is me. Like
yeah.
I have to be myself. And I go back to, in a way, I'm not saying everybody needs to be like me, but I'm like, am I surrounded by vibrant people?
Well, and
That's really
that's your
important to
question,
me.
right? And you actually messaged me when I reached out to you. You said you had your EA executive assistant do some research.
Yeah.
What couple of things did she find that she said, okay, this person might be good for you to have? You can talk to him.
Oh yeah. So I've trained Camille, who's amazing,
Yeah.
to look at people's energy. And it's very easy to see from just looking at you're a vibrant, great person. Also, my friend Raj, Jana was on your podcast. He's freaking amazing. He's very, very positive and, a good person. And so I am looking for a specific vibration of somebody. And I know it sounds very esoteric and very California, but the people I surround myself with and I spend time with are important to me. I'm a senior VP at a major financial firm, and we're having a downturn in the market right now. So
Yeah.
to say the least, I'm busy with my clients there. I mean, that's my full-time job. What we're talking about today is another career I have, which is a platform called Wellbeing Drives Success. And so I don't have any free time to waste in my life. And if I'm not doing those two things, I'm with my daughters and
Yeah. I
being a
mean,
great mom. And with, if not that, then I'm,
yeah.
with friends and people who I love and who are close to my heart.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to waste with people that are not in my vibration.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I'm really picky about who I chat with.
Well, I don't think you should say I hate to say that, because actually a
Yeah, you're
lot of
right.
that, you know what I mean? A lot of the top, I don't know, I don't want to say like successful people, like
Sure.
defining success in your own way, right?
Mm-hmm.
They make that, like they say that, like I bet I've reached out to people and their responses are, look, I have limited, time,
Yes.
people that I want to be around with,
Yeah.
let me look into this or whatever. And that makes total sense. You have to appreciate
Mm-hmm.
that, especially for somebody juggling different things and making sure that because in order to do what you do, and as much as you do, helping people, the senior VP, you have to be at a certain energy level. Like you have to be at a certain vibration,
Yes,
right?
that's
Otherwise,
right.
so you have to choose wisely who you're being around and what you're doing and how
Right.
you're spending your time.
So
So I get it.
in this moment for me, it's my moment to rise.
Yeah.
So, my book, which is about well-being and success, it was on the top Forbes 20 lists last year. It won an Axiom Book Award. This is my moment for that. This is my moment for people it's a perfect book to read in this moment. Also, it's my moment to be a great wealth management advisor because I manage money for 37 CEOs and their families. And so they need me in this moment. I am trained for this. And I just would ask your listeners too, what I'm seeing from a lot of the executives in my book, and also just executives in general, is they're asking themselves, how is this moment my moment? Like, that's an interesting, thoughtful question. Like, as horrible and grief filled and catastrophic as a moment we're in, is there any way you as a positive person, or me as a vibrant person, or maybe one of your listeners who's thoughtful, curious, calm, kind, or whatever their word is, how is that their moment? How can they serve? And that's where I'm all around, so that's why I'm here this morning, because it's an opportunity for me to serve the people listening. Here, I'm interested in service. All I care about is impact. That's all I care about. Now, even if, let's say, I know thousands of people listen to this, but even if it was just you and me, I would say, how am I impacting you? Like, am I doing a good job? Am I bringing my vibrant self and rising? I had a great breakfast. I had my, coffee. I had my raw vegan bar, because this is my moment. Even if I'm only with one person, this is my moment to serve. And I know a lot of people who are feeling helpless. They're not quite there yet, but they will be as soon as they get their mind around that, what their gifts are and how they can be of service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. That was said so well, and so much to take from that, from people listening.
Tell me, so if for you, there's different categories of your life, but how does this podcast, for instance, serve in this moment that we're in?
This moment that we're in?
Yes.
And based on, you can kind of see it in
what's
the
your
way
vibe for it?
Yeah, the way I put posts up about each of the last couple episodes kind of showcases that, where it's a time to check out of the news. Like, I think podcasts, a good podcast is a good time to check out of the news and listen to a podcast about ways we can be mindful to deal with the situation that we're in. Ways that we can be mindful to change a little something about ourselves right now that might be for the better. That's what I want each episode to be able to do for anybody listening, or learn something new that that person never even thought of before and can incorporate in their life. That's what I want, even whether it's now during the coronavirus or outside of it. And I think now more than ever, listening to ways where you can be more in your mind, out of your head, more in your body and your spirit, is super important, especially during this time.
Right.
So I think that's where it comes into play.
I love that. What I was also thinking as an additional thing to mention to people that might be helpful is, I went back and re-interviewed a lot of the executives that were in my book. And something that everybody was talking about that I think is understated in this moment, and it's not the usual response, would be the idea around protecting the asset. And I started saying this word at the beginning of the year. I actually bought the domain for it because I was like, I say it so much, I might as well just buy the domain. But when I mean protect the asset, I mean protect your well-being, your body, mind, and spirit. We're in this moment, and what we're thinking is, do I have hand sanitizer? Do I have enough food? Are the kids, going to be quiet while I'm on that call? And we're not thinking about taking care of ourselves. Give you another example. My client associate for my wealth management business has said, because he has little kids like you, I haven't exercised in 2 weeks. He's like trying to just like frantically get stuff underway, because he's got to get his work done, and it's just chaos.
Yeah,
he's amazing. He's freaking amazing. But I think protect the asset, our body, mind, and spirit well-being, whether it's exercise or any of the spokes on my wheel. We need to rise in this moment as parents, as people in society, as in our jobs, or maybe we need to create a new side hustle to make ends meet. And that is going to require us healthy. It's going to require eye vibration to be high. It's going to require us to get out of bed with a creative idea, with imagination, with hope. The opposite would be fear, sadness, grief. The flip it would be empowerment, hope, optimism, positivity, like you said. And as soon as we can
Love.
get into that,
Yeah.
we'll be in better shape. Yeah, love.
Yeah.
We'll
Love.
be in better shape.
Yeah.
How can I love people better today?
Yeah.
How can I love my situation? You know, that's like a very Buddhist thing to say.
No, but so what? It makes sense. Yeah.
But
Totally.
you know, we have to face reality here. You know, my girls were saying, "Mom, do you think that we're going to be here for another month?" Yes, I do.
Yeah. Right.
Am I going to be at any events in the next 2 months? No, I'm not. You know, we're gonna pivot here and do the best we can. You know, but then
Yeah.
as soon as we can protect the asset, as well, that I think will help us. Of course, we have to wash our hands and do all those things. But I'm going to start wearing a mask into grocery stores. You know, protect the asset. I need to be here.
Yeah.
I need to be here so I can serve. And I'm not going and socializing and having house parties or gathering on Baker Beach like some people are.
No comment.
Doing that, staying right here
Doing
place, not
That's right.
talking to anybody except you.
Well,
No, I'm just
hey,
kidding.
well,
you can talk to as many people as you want, just distance wise.
right, just via Zoom, right? This is, I mean, you're, I don't know, half a foot from my face, but in reality, it's
I know,
many
right?
feet.
You can sneeze all you want, okay, Justin. You can cough all you feel like.
That was good because I actually made a commitment to myself that I was going to come out of this, like whenever it ended, healthier than I was when I started.
Oh, I love it. That's
so
perfect.
Just been doing a lot more body movements, a lot more hit stuff, activities.
Yep. Good for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And some other things, a lot more push-ups, different stuff, jump roping.
Yeah.
I actually picked up jump roping. So this is just examples of things you can do that you didn't normally do before. I had an old jump rope I haven't used in 2 years, pulled it out. I've been using that.
And
yeah.
I don't think anyone would disagree that that's a great idea. How could that be debatable? I think that's a great idea. It seems like a no-brainer. Right. You know, but I think that so many people just aren't quite there yet. I think they're still in grief. They're still dumbfounded. I mean, the thought that this is happening is staggering. It's crushing. But that is something you can do. You can do a push-up. You know, I'm not going down from this as best I can. Yeah. You know, I'm going to prepare myself. I'm taking my vitamins. I am building my immune system. I am going outside and I'm getting air in my lungs because I heard it goes, it hurts people's lungs. I'm like, I'll build my lung strength.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to do everything I can to give myself the best possible chance to rise.
Yeah. You said earlier, you said earlier that, at first you kind of denied that, you knew you were getting sick, right? Way back when you kind of,
way back when. Yeah.
Right. You kind of denied. And then you realized like that wake up call, like, oh, wow. Okay. Now I have this cancer
Embrace
situation.
Reality.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's exactly this situation. You can relate to that where you say, all right, this isn't going to it's not going to last long. Now it's our new reality right now.
Oh, I think everything's going to be changed forever.
Yeah.
I think, and I think that, how, when there was, issues with security on airplanes, now we all take our shoes off, and things like that. I think that we're in just a different world. I am just, I speak in public a lot. I'm just assuming in my mind, there's not a single public speech going to happen this year. Like in public with a giant crowd. That's just what I'm going to assume. I've never heard that. I'm not an authority.
Sure.
I'm just making, in my heart, I'm just saying, what if that was the case, which might happen? How would I pivot? How would I serve? Actually, it's fantastic because I could do everything digitally. I can serve all of my clients digitally. And I'm feeling pretty good about that. I just think we have the closer we can do to just be an acceptance of where we're at, even if it's just today, even if you're just going to think about today, okay, today, the reality is my kids are home and they are not, I know for sure they're not having school in April. That's been extended. So I'm just going to that's the truth. And so how can we best move forward with reality? Yeah.
For all the people that need a schedule, need to know what's happening, that uncertainty is very scary for them.
Right.
And so I like what you said, we know that through April, this is the way it is. So accept that as the reality, in the nicest way possible, accept that this is the way it is.
That's
And
it.
then we'll
Mhm.
find out more in 3, 4 weeks. Right. And
Right.
that's just kind of how things have to happen. Right.
Right. And then the other thing, I posted about the other day too, is that it's really important to keep positive vibrations. Like, so when I was diagnosed with cancer, it was really hard to stop thinking about it. I mean, I would wake up in the middle of the night and go, "Oh my God, I've got cancer." Like I remember it was
Oh,
so hard to stop thinking about it. And I feel like the coronavirus is the same thing. It's like I'll wake up and go, "Oh my God, that's right. We're in this virus situation." And it's so hard to stop thinking about it. But I think the more we can just be in the reality of our day, look at you. You have a beautiful place. You've got books behind you. You have a family that's close. And, what is my reality today? To be, move to gratitude and to how I can serve. That really helps me kind of, move forward. And when I had cancer, I thought, I do, yet I kept saying, I somehow, this will pass. I will somehow figure out a way. I said to myself, back at that point, if I ever live through this, which was my worst health storm, if I ever live through it, I will serve for the rest of my life. I made a promise to God, or whoever, my higher self, my gods and goddesses and everything. And
yeah.
that's why I'm here today. I'm fulfilling that promise. That's why I wrote that book. That's
Powerful.
part of my thing. And if we ever get through this, I would ask your listeners, how are they going to serve, in their own special way, with their gifts. It may be just to simply be a, fantastic partner,
Yeah.
to just be a light in their neighborhood, or
Yeah.
whatever. But so many people are doing so many incredible things in this moment.
Yeah. Or, as you say that, like, or just be that person who sends a note or a text to a couple people
Exactly.
that might not get it, or just be that, that could be that they're,
Nothing's too small.
yeah, seriously. That's great. As you said that, like something went through my mind and I realized how much more I've appreciated the plants inside my house. Like
Mhm.
I'm going up and like, rubbing them and like looking at them and feeling like the life in the plant. Sounds so cheesy and weird, but
But hey,
as you're saying it, I've
this is
realized,
your
holy cow.
meditation practice.
Yeah. That's, I didn't do that before. Now
Do
I'm
you
seeing
know, I
myself.
took a sponge and wiped off the leaves yesterday. It's so weird you said that. And just wiped off, just with water, and just wiped off all their leaves yesterday, like in appreciation. I don't know. It was very relaxed. I would never have done that before. I just
So
noticed
wild.
it. Why do you think you did that? Just appreciation or?
Yeah, like you said, we're in a different scenario. And the thing is, I practice gratitude every morning. So I think we're seeing different. Getting grateful even deeper right now because we're stuck inside all
Yes.
day. And
I like you said that.
yeah, and also, I mean, plants have life. Like
Of course
I
they do.
believe everything. We're not like a body inside of skin, and then I think like everything's connected in the universe. And and especially plants that have life, like they can feel your vibration.
Yes.
That plant, or that, I mean, again, it sounds so, because I don't talk like this normally, but like when you
I
wipe
bring that
those
out in people.
when you wipe those leaves off, that plant like truly appreciates you
Yeah.
doing that. It can feel like the
Yeah.
life of you doing that. And I think that maybe they're calling to us like, hey, now that you're stuck indoors, like I'm here for you. Like come over here and check me
Right.
out. I don't know.
Are aware. Yeah, I do feel, and I've heard from people chatting about it, that their awareness is heightened.
Ah,
So your awareness about the plants is probably much more heightened.
hmm,
Yeah.
interesting.
They're your
Well,
housemates. You can start calling them your colleagues.
here go my new
I,
friends.
I have friends in corporate America that have started to call their children their colleagues. So every time they say the word kids, they say colleagues now, just as a joke. Like, my
Right.
colleagues are eating snacks. My colleagues are, my colleagues are hoarding toilet paper in the
Right,
bathroom.
your colleagues.
Yeah, it's
Did
my
you hear the one?
colleagues.
I'll wrap this up in a couple of minutes, but did you hear the one where you have that imaginary person in the house, like Becky left the food on the counter again, or Becky left the cup. I don't know what she's doing, instead of like getting mad at each other for doing certain things.
Oh, I love that. That's
Have
fantastic. And
an
you can
imagine.
blame it on somebody.
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. That
Yeah.
sort of, gives the hint without being so dictatorial.
Right. You can kind
Mm.
of, yeah, exactly. Because
See, that fits in with your positive nature. That's funny.
Well, Megan, you have been, and like, honestly, like, thank you so much for coming on. You've been a
Of
delight.
course.
I want to wrap it up with a question here. I had a lot of fun, by the way. I really did.
Yeah, thank you. Me too.
Uh, if you could go back and tell your 18-year-old self anything, and your 18-year-old self would listen and implement it, what would you say? What would you say to young Megan?
Easy. I would tell her that well-being drives success. The more that you protect the asset and that you focus in on body, mind, and spirit well-being, the more successful you will be. And by success, I mean joy, happiness, love, money, um, awards. Well-being is the core because it's the power center from which all else flows.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll stop it now.